Hello, and welcome to our Masterclass series. My name is Carla Keene, the CEO and developer of ClarityRx. Today's class is all about the inflammation chain and the effects that it really has on the aging process of the skin. When we talk about inflammation, it really arises on two distinct levels in the skin. First of all, we need to take a look at the conditions associated with this with our client's skin to determine if they have an acute amount of inflammation, which is very short term, and whether it was deliberately intended to stimulate collagen or it was brought on by other influentials like environment, heat, sun, wrong use of products, mismanagement of the home care regimen. A lot of that can cause acute short-term inflammation. The other is very chronic or long-term inflammation, which is the most dangerous form. This webinar is going to focus on the chronic inflammation and conditions associated with it, such as premature aging and acne and dermatitis and conditions associated with rosacea. All of these have been recently linked to chronic inflammation. Let's talk a little bit about inflammation. The three irritants that disrupt the skin's barrier to cause inflammation are the following. Environmental, which this could be outside influences, such as unhealthy habits like smoking, allergens, UV exposure to the sun's rays, or pollution. Hormonal fluctuations, stress, and acne also brought on by this, but then cause inflammation. And some physical things, such as harsh products, scrubs, brushes, and then some cosmetic ingredients, such as irritants and preservatives. Acute inflammation is really triggered to repair the damaged skin barrier by remodeling injured skin. We find acute inflammation following some of our services such as microdermabrasion and peels and micropeels. This type of acute inflammation can be somewhat healthy to the skin as we're triggering the skin to stimulate all the mechanisms within the tissue to build healthier tissue. The body doesn't know when to stop fixing itself, however, and continues producing pro-inflammatory molecules to ensure that the problem is corrected. So we want to be sure not to over-inflammate the skin and make sure that we don't over-treat the skin to cause more of a chronic inflammation, where short-term acute inflammatory reactions in the skin can be somewhat healthy. The chronic inflammation, which results in the actual breakdown of collagen and elastin, it can also increase oil production and increase free radicals, is again really the culprit here when we talk about premature aging. Certain topicals are designed to prevent acute inflammation from becoming chronic, and we'll talk about those products as we get through the slides. So let's just increase our awareness about chronic inflammation. The conclusion is that this chronic inflammation, as well as the engine that drives the most feared illnesses, as well as aging, has been researched and reached by evaluating multiple historical, social, and medical treatments. More importantly, the cellular or molecular mechanism links between inflammation, disease, cancer, and aging have been recently established and widely recognized. It's well known that in modern American society, the incidence of chronic inflammatory skin diseases is significantly increasing in all age groups. Did you know that dermatitis in American children is now 15 to 30% of all children have some sort of dermatitis? In 2015, it was reported that nearly 40% of adult Americans have suffered from some sort of skin condition associated with inflammation that's lasting longer than 1 month during their lifetime. Do we really understand what's creating the influx of inflammation in society? A lot of people have thought that it's everything from the preservatives in our food to over-processing our skin to exposure to UVA and UVBs, which are much stronger today than ever. So there's lots of reasons why we're seeing more chronic inflammation in our bodies and in our skin. The correlation between inflammation and skin disease is something we really need to take a look at. And how do we coach our clients to really manage inflammation in their skin day to day? In the last decades, the scientific community has gradually become more accepting that inflammation and disease go hand in hand. Now, when we talk about disease, again, this is both internally and externally. So as estheticians, we're going to focus on what happens externally when we have chronic inflammation in the body, because it really then manifests itself in the skin. So the skin really takes a big hit, both from internal and external components that create that inflammation. In American society, the incident rate of skin cancer has reached very epidemic proportions. During each of the past 3 years, more than 1 million Americans have suffered from some sort of skin cancer that requires surgery. About 50% of people over the age of 65 are afflicted with premalignant solar keratosis. So these are precancer cells. The most common procedures still performed today by dermatologists relate to skin cancer therapies. These surgical and destructive procedures treating skin cancer rose by 12% last year to include more than 1.7 million, despite massive public education on the relationship of sunlight and skin cancer. So to me, this speaks loudly that we still need to educate our clients and not to assume that they understand the magnitude of damage that sun exposure can really cause. This trend is increasing despite the introduction of 1980s of sunscreens with a sun protection factor of 15 or higher and a broadening of the protected UV light spectrum to include UVA exposure. So there is a direct correlation, and the biggest culprit here is sun. So it's very simple for me. You avoid sun at all costs. And when in passive sun exposure, please make sure that we're instructing our clients to apply their sunscreen every 30 minutes. The other thing that I think is really important, and some new research coming out indicates that we should coach our clients to apply that sunblock 30 minutes before even going in the sun to make sure that they have full protection. It has been documented that even the smallest doses of UV light induce microscopic chronic inflammation and tissue destruction. So even though our clients may not see a visible result of being in the sun that day with redness and inflammation, just know that it has a very cumulative effect overall, and for long term can really cause a lot of degradation of the tissue. Repeat chronic disruption of the skin's barrier due to any cause has been documented to activate chronic inflammation. So acute inflammation followed by rapid complete repair of the skin does not appear to induce skin damage for long term. Therefore, it results in visible skin aging, or it doesn't result in visible skin aging, whereas more chronic inflammation does. So here's some interesting facts. By the time a woman visibly sees a sign of aging in her late 30s to early 40s usually, it's highly likely she's been operating with a low-grade inflammation for years. So this just depicts, again, that cumulative effect of just moderate doses of inflammation. Undiagnosed food sensitivities, poor diet, stress, hormonal imbalance, toxic overload, both internally and externally, and a sedentary lifestyle form a very potent challenge to the immune system, making it very hard for the body to fight inflammation from the inside out. On the outside, I've seen very poor skincare habits, the wrong use of products, the over-processing of skin with harsh chemicals, sun exposure, weather, bacterial infestation, or environmental toxins trigger an immune response that ultimately weakens collagen, dilates surface blood capillaries, and can clog pores. So for me, I think it's important that as we try to do everything we can for our clients within our toolbox, both in products at home and in services, we really are obligated to coach our clients on all of the above. What are they doing to prevent chronic inflammation in their skin, which will help us fight this premature aging? So we know that inflammation can wreak havoc on our body and looks. It can negatively affect your health and even accelerate the skin's natural aging process. Inflammation is an essential part of the body's healing process, however. It occurs at a very cellular level when the immune system tries to fight off disease causing germs and to repair injured tissue. So there again, we look at what this slight acute inflammation can cause when we trigger that through our services and products at home. One example of that is our Sleep It Off mask. That endothermic heat that we generate is just enough to trigger a very acute inflammatory response to trigger, again, all of the skin's mechanisms to begin to create collagen, or it actually creates fibrous tissue or fibers that then grow collagen. So at some point, we like to see moderate doses of inflammation in the skin through treatment and in home care, as long as it doesn't manifest on the surface of the skin by showing lots of redness or chronic inflammation, because that's not a goal that we're looking for. So again, back to some of the dangers of chronic inflammation. We know that it's accepted now that disease and inflammation goes hand in hand. We also know that it's well documented that diseases, skin cancer, and other means of visible skin aging is caused by chronic inflammation. So it's clear to me that chronic inflammation can be prevented and reversed by the consumption of proper food, oral supplements, as well as the application of the proper skincare products, both in service and in home care. So the good news is that we absolutely can manage this for our clients. The realization should stimulate skincare providers like us to really be focused on reversing and preventing inflammation at all times, in addition to the management or treatment of other skin conditions that we see, such as acne or laxity or pigmentary abnormalities and such. At the same time, always, in all ways, preventing inflammation in the skin. We want to optimize the stratum corneum barrier function to make sure it's necessary to prevent the onset of inflammation long term and to reverse the skin damage caused by chronic inflammation. This starts by making sure the skin functions normally with the proper amount of water and oil, and it's really the genesis of a very healthy functioning skin. Optimizing the stratum corneum barrier function is also to make sure that it's well exfoliated and that we're seeing lots of cellular turnover, and again, keeping it very healthy. Returning the skin to its normal function and structure should help to reverse, prevent, and minimize visible signs of aging. In case of chronic inflammation, the immune system may even begin perceiving the body's tissue as foreign and thereby posing a little bit of threat. We see this often in our practice with maybe a chronic inflammatory type of acne. Let's say in, for instance, a grade 3 or 4. When we start to see the skin over-responding to this because it's posed a threat, it starts to rush in white blood cells to help fight infection. And concurrently, we know that that can destroy the tissue or the healthy tissue surrounding it. But as a result, it can produce concurrent efforts to destroy the tissue while trying to rebuild it as well. So this can lead to a number of skin conditions such as dermatitis and psoriasis and eczema and acne. So again, managing all of that at once concurrently is really the goal here. But we know if inflammation is left untreated and it becomes chronic, then it can also lead to some of these other unwanted conditions. So what do we look for in our clients' skin? First, environmental and lifestyle factors have to really be addressed. So again, any pollutants, anytime they can eliminate exposure to the environment like this. Dietary factors, again. Unhealthy fats have been known to trigger some inflammatory reaction in the body, such as your hydrogenated oils, trans fats, and polyunsaturated vegetable oils. So again, also refined carbohydrates like sugary and starchy processed foods can cause an inflammatory reaction in the body. Chronic stress, we've seen it with a lot of our clients that suffer from a lot of stress in their bodies and in their lives. We see it actually manifest in the skin. And I normally see this almost in a subtype 1 rosacea sort of response, where it maybe will just be highlighted on the apples of the cheeks, or a lot of times I see chronic stress manifest itself in redness in the neck and chest area. Also, we know that we rev up that cortisol when we're stressed, and this hormone actually increases inflammatory damage in the skin and in the body. Also, we have to look at the family history. Do they have family history of inflammation? This can manifest in certain conditions in the body like arthritis, asthma, autoimmune deficiencies, lupus. And if your family has genetic tendencies for this, then clearly your clients are at greater risk for inflammatory reactions. So make sure you're discussing your family history with your clients or their family history. So here's the good news. As much as we know that chronic inflammation can negatively affect our health and accelerate the skin's aging process, resulting in premature aging, us as estheticians have the tools to really reverse the signs of inflammation and to prevent further inflammation from happening in their skin, along with coaching our clients on the things that they must do on a day-to-day to help prevent that as well. So again, we can only do so much for the clients behind the chair, but we're obligated to instruct them on how to match what we're doing behind the chair with what they can do and what's in their control to manage inflammatory reactions in the body and in the skin at home. There are really two causes of aging. So as we talk to our clients about preventing premature aging in the skin, we also must understand that there is a natural aging process. As much as we fight it, is going to physiologically happen in the skin. We know in our mid-20s that we reach a peak of growth and development. And after that, we go through a very transitional decline into our older age, marked by both biological and psychological changes. The speed and degree to which an individual ages is a very complex and cumulative interplay of all sorts of things, from genetics, environment, lifestyle, and if you ask me, skincare. There is a pre-programmed theory which suggests that we all have a biological clock that simply runs down over the lifetime according to a predetermined genetic timetable. But again, there's so much we can do to kind of slow down that hands of time and to keep the skin looking and feeling and functioning healthy for as long as possible. There also is that progressive aging, though, and this is extrinsic. This is what usually is caused by outside influencers. So environmental theories believe that the effects of aging can be accelerated by cumulative and progressive exposure to this. So then what causes premature aging? Again, we already talked about this, responsible for premature aging in the heart, brains, joints, digestive organs, circulatory system, immune system, in our case, the skin. What really causes premature aging? Again, talk to our clients about all of these things. Allergies, exposure to toxic chemicals or heavy metals, excessive exposure to the sun, the abuse of alcohol or tobacco, poor nutrition, stress, and inactivity all are contributors. But the most common cause of premature aging in the skin and in the body is inflammation. So at all costs, again, manage inflammation. So having talked about all of this, then if I were you, if you need to support any of this to educate your client with what I call education support materials or take-home materials in which they can read about, will help to define why or develop the need for why they need products that fight this on a daily basis. So what are some of the structural changes that happen once we understand premature aging of the skin? Well, free radicals, which we hear of often, from normal oxidative processes start to interfere with the cellular processes and cause inflammation, and then therefore weaker the matrices in the body's tissue. Inflammation stimulates production of free radicals, period. And once the body can no longer keep up with clearing up the damaging agents, the delicate balance then tips in favor of degeneration. So again, prevention really is everything here. The presence of free radicals induces the following in the skin. Obviously, the breakdown of collagen inhibits elastin and collagen synthesis, which is where we start to see laxity or loss of elasticity, and the bounce back or spring back in the skin starts to be lost. It blocks the breakdown of melanocytes, which really produce the pigment, so we are seeing lots of pigment disruption. And unfortunately, when this happens, we also can't fight naturally UV exposure, as we know melanocytes can do. There's also an abundance of new free radicals, and free radical diminishes again cellular processes. And so again, we start to see a degrading of tissue repair and the skin's ability to proliferate. The biggest of what we see and the hardest of what we need to treat as a result is the pigmentary disruption. So persistent environmental factors may hyperstimulate dermal cells because of the reduced ability of the damaged tissue to properly develop and repair this. So for example, age spots or pigmentation may be a result of disproportionate distribution of melanocytes in the basal layer. So by the time it actually reaches the surface layers where it's visible, it's very spotty per se. Prior exposure to UV rays can impair the skin's ability to repair again and to regenerate healthy cells, so it starts to reproduce unhealthy tissue. This is where I love to see like our apple-a-day or stem cells being used to help repair the functionality of the skin. Continued exposure may produce hyperpigmentation or age spots in the fragile dermal matrix from the progressive accumulation of melanin, a very common symptom of photo damage. So sunblock every 30 minutes and 30 minutes prior. And again, question your clients on how they're applying their sunblock. It's really critical that we're patting or pressing those sunscreen agents on the skin or into the skin as opposed to rubbing them on. Keep in mind that continued cellular damage without protection can lead to premature aging. And then all of the other unwanted conditions that come with that, resulting in spots, discoloration, laxity, and worse, more importantly, fine lines and wrinkles. So some of the aesthetic symptoms, again, fine lines, variable pigmentation, dry skin, loss of firmness in the face, neck, and hands. Wrinkles may start to appear around the eyes, nose, and mouth. We'll start to see spotted darkening over the skin. And sometimes this can be in mass sheeting, which is very hard to treat. Skin may begin to lose elasticity along the jawline. Dry patches may start to be noticed on the forehead and cheeks, which could lead to almost a rosacea type appearance. So we start to see all these things happen prematurely in the skin. So again, what can we do for inflammation and prevent premature aging of the client's skin? Well, again, here's the good news. These visible signs of aging can be reduced and prevented by the daily use of antioxidants. This is well documented in several studies. Or by the use of anti-inflammatory cosmeceuticals coupled with a diet rich in anti-inflammatory and antioxidant foods. So for me, this speaks loudly to the use of antioxidants every day, morning and night for the severely damaged, mornings for those as a preventative. So the idea of avoiding and reversing chronic inflammation also applies to the skin's surface. So to make significant improvements in the tone and texture, you need to soothe inflammation on two fronts: neutralize free radicals, and by boosting the immune function through nutrition, supplements, hormonal balance, detoxification, and topical support. So anything that is or has the ability to infuse in vitamins, like our Take Your Vitamin spray, as well as the antioxidant in the Take Care, and several other ingredients like our stem cells, all are very important in this process. Also, we talked about the diet, coach our clients on more of a Mediterranean diet, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Cold water fish, very good, again, for the omega-3 fatty acids. All of these foods have very strong anti-inflammatory properties. In addition, you can spice up a little bit with some ginger and turmeric. These are all natural anti-inflammatory effects as well. And look for the right supplements. Again, taking vitamins and mineral supplements orally as well as infusing in topically can also help combat the inflammatory damage brought on by these free radicals. And stay physically active. We know that exercise also reduces inflammation. But here's where we want to talk mostly, because what we can do with topical anti-inflammatory ingredients is pretty amazing. Skincare regimens recommended by professionals like us for reversing and preventing visible signs of aging should include products with active ingredients focused on reversing and preventive chronic inflammation. If we do just this, we're going to see tremendous results in our clients' skin. Remember that a more cumulative, multidimensional approach, including treatments, maintenance, and prevention, is necessary, and also to think both on a home care as well as a service plan or treatment plan is really, really important. The damaged epidermal layer can gently be removed to stimulate a more rejuvenating layer. This can be done through service such as peels, microdermabrasion, micro peels, enzyme exfoliants, and pumpkin exfoliants, through heat and steam. All of these help, again, keratolysis, which then just is a great way to stimulate new cellular proliferation. We want to always make sure we rehydrate and nourish the skin. Sunblock is always critical to the successful treatment plan. But ClarityRx has a portfolio of products that provide solutions to treat inflammation. After all, that is the genesis of our brand. We always have taught to keep the skin in a non-inflamed state. So I have 5 key ingredients or products within the brand to help fight inflammation and to repair current inflammation in your client's skin. The first is hyaluronic acid, just a critical component, again, to create that balance in the skin of oil and water so that the skin can function normally. The skin, once it functions normally, is more apt to be receptive to any of our treatments or home care products. Also, a well-hydrated skin is able to absorb better. So anything that we would want to infuse into the skin, such as our vitamins and antioxidants, can be well received by a more hydrated skin type. We know that hyaluronic acid is naturally produced by the body as a primary component in structural formation and repair. So it's essential to help inflammation and mediate cell aggregation and to promote proliferation. Hyaluronic acid is present in the extracellular matrix of the skin naturally to help improve the elimination of free radicals, to enhance the collagen matrix and tissue hydration. So once we can pull moisture from the lower layers of the skin to the uppermost layers of the tissue, the healthier the skin appears on the surface. So cumulative use of the topical application of this medical-grade hyaluronic acid can provide the hydration necessary to restore cellular function. So this is my #1 go-to. This is why this is our #1 selling item in the brand. Everyone needs this product. Everyone's dehydrated. We need to tip the scales of that balancing of the skin. So once we do that, then we see the immediate gratification. The Malus Domestica, this is our stem cell in apple a day. This ingredient is just magical. This phyto-based stem cell serum derived from this rare apple really works to protect and preserve the skin as we age. It allows us to provide the skin what it needs to function wholly. It also delays the senescence of essential cells. This is that it prolongs the natural death cycle of our skin cells. So it combats chronological aging. It preserves the youthful look and vitality of the skin by protecting it from oxidative stress brought on by lifestyle, diet, sun exposure, and the environment. Studies also indicate that plant-based stem cells repair the breakdown of DNA in our skin cells, which is necessary to help fight inflammation and for the skin to function normally. This ingredient also is important in this product. Seaweed extract contains every mineral and vitamin necessary for a very beautiful, well-nourished skin. Also, a very true organic anti-aging breakthrough in skincare. Malus Domestica has not been really rivaled since. It's a well-known anti-aging, anti-inflammatory ingredient which comes from a natural, organically grown apple. So it's just a perfect pairing for all your clients to fight free radical damage in the skin. Azulene, which is a key ingredient here in the Call Me in the Morning. This is extracted from the chamomile plant. We know that azulene and other herbal extracts found in this product leave a very thin protective layer on the skin, which helps fight bacteria and surrounding pollutants. It also acts as a very strong anti-inflammatory to relieve redness and irritation associated with inflammation. On the mend, I love all the anti-inflammatory extracts in this. So these are all organic extracts. It relieves soreness, soothes and comforts, chronic irritation, cools the skin, relieving discomfort associated with inflammation. And then last but not least is our Take Your Vitamin Spray. Love this product for inflammation. This can be sprayed throughout the day. It's packed with over 70 different essential minerals and vitamins. It's formulated to really nourish and soothe, hydrate, and protect the skin throughout the day. It also can soothe some acute redness and mild burning for post-procedure from peels and microdermabrasion and micropeels, or lots of extraction. It provides that instantaneous cooling relief that we're looking for, especially in the summer months. The colloidals in this formula are excellent because they're very strong anti-inflammatories as well. So you have your cobalt and gold and all those other colloidals that we know of on impact can cool and soothe. This is a very convenient, hydrating, moisturizing spray for air travel and other drier climates, but throughout the day, all day, under makeup, over makeup, can be applied anytime, anywhere, on anyone, and this is just another go-to, in my opinion. Now, the cool thing is that this little travel size that's found in our Moisture on the Go kit is also ideal for travel and on the go. That on the go kit, Moisture on the Go kit, is really perfect, as all of those products found in that not only are hydrating, but they're also very soothing to combat inflammation. And of course, we're replenishing moisture. Thank you all for attending today's master class. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can email us at info@clarityclinicalskincare.com or education@. Visit our website. Please be sure to enroll in receiving our newsletter on our website, as well as to enroll in our Institute of Aesthetics online to make sure that you're taking all of your master classes. This class will be up for 30 days for your viewing. Also, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms. We share lots on those media platforms. So on Facebook, we're ClarityRx, clinical 2 words. On Instagram, we're at Clarity Clinical Skincare or hashtag ClarityRx. Thank you so much. Have a great day.